Hamza Myatt, the ginger Daoist from my previous video in response to EFDawah, has taken a great deal of offense towards my critique of his actions in using tragedy to preach as well as beg for funds, going so far as to tell his subscribers to abuse the PayPal friends and family system to effectively steal money from PayPal. Did he respond in a cool, collective manner, presenting all sorts of reasons to justify his actions? No. First, he tried to move the conversation away from the statements he made in his video to some position I was apparently taking. Yet when that didn't work, the tactics became underhanded, as per usual with Dawah apologists. But before I move on, I just need to explain something about the way in which YouTube works. If you, the viewer, post a comment to a video owned by another channel, then outside of the video being deleted, your comment will always appear to you, the original poster. This is a principle I am demonstrating on screen using an unlisted video on EssenceOfThought and one of my project accounts, Generic Theist. Posting as Generic Theist, I then return to EssenceOfThought to delete the comment. After refreshing to make sure it's gone, I then return to Generic Theist, where lo and behold, the comment is still there. Now I can't tell you definitively why YouTube does this, though I believe it to be some small way to curb abuse in that if someone removes a comment of, say, racism, the person who made the racist comment is less likely to come back and realize this and launch further attacks on the person with sock accounts. This system can of course be abused, but it also has an extra benefit as I'm about to show. Do note that the main comment thread on my video can be viewed as either a PNG or Google document, and is also linked directly in the description down below, though this is subject to change since EFDawah may come back to remove the rest of their comments after this video goes out. I have also documented the Facebook conversation I had with Myatt, both in video form and in Google document. Returning back to the main thread, however, after Hamza found out that I wasn't going to be distracted from what he originally stated, he resorted to accusing me of removing his comments. Again and again he repeated this, claiming that they were no longer there when he returned. The issue here, as already proven, is that even if I remove said comments, they would still appear for Hamza Myatt so long as he was logged in to the account he posted with. I and many others asked for evidence of said comments, telling EFDawah that if he were telling the truth about the existence of such comments, they would in fact still be visible from his end, stating, and I quote, "If you genuinely wish to accuse me of this, take a screenshot of said comments on your end. Note that even if comments are removed, they still appear for the poster, so you should be able to show where I've removed comments." End quote. Do note that this comment by myself was then followed by a comment by user Thomas Ridley, stating, and I do quote, "Why would anyone try to stop you from making a complete arse out of yourself?" End quote. This is a fact which is important for what Hamza is about to do next. Hamza then spent 6 hours throwing up excuse after excuse about how he couldn't do it and demanding users give him their emails. After 6 hours, however, Hamza contacted me via Facebook with this. To understand the first issue, return to what I noted earlier. This comment follows on from the Thomas Ridley comment, which in turn came after my demand for evidence. From here I made 2 reasonable requests. First, I wanted him to take a second screenshot of this comment, displaying the timestamp and comments on both sides of his. And second, I wanted a screenshot of the 4 or so comments he was accusing me of having deleted or failing to publish earlier. The logic was simple. As noted, these comments will always appear on the poster side so long as they are logged into the same account. That is, unless they have deleted them themselves. For a start, I don't believe the first set of comments he is on about even existed. But what's worse is I suspect Hamza of posting the comment sent after I'd asked for evidence before deleting it himself so that he could, after a period of time, publish it, sending it to me and hope that I didn't spot where it fell in the timeline of the discussion. There was no reason for Hamza to reject my proposal of further screenshots, since unlike his earlier excuses, he could very clearly send such an image to me now, leaving him no excuse. Of course, rather than proving his claims that I had deleted his comments, he instead began to use ableist slurs as an attempt to degrade my person, attacking my person and not the conclusions based on how YouTube works. Do note that when he brought up the statements I made about him, including the begging, what I later termed rape profiteering, when he demanded evidence, I was all too happy to supply it. I also went out of my way to record the clip I showed you at the start of the video and upload that on its own before sharing it in the main thread of YouTube so people could see what I meant when I said even if I delete the comment, it should still appear on the side of the poster. Indeed, only the OP can truly delete it. That is unless I have deleted the video, which, as can be seen, clearly I have not. I also supplied the screenshot to everyone else in the thread so they could see what he was on about, making my issues clear in how said comment could easily have been posted after I asked for evidence, screenshotted and then removed by Hamza himself to use at a later date. Indeed, besides his phone failing, that is the only way said comments could be totally missing from his end. And since the rest of his comments got through, how likely is that? So now that the biggest contention is cleared up, I just wanted to cover some more issues I had with the many things he said. Not long into the accusations of deleting, Hamza had to, of course, fill out my quota of people, most often Dawa apologists, demanding that I travel to London to debate them live. In fact, this makes him the second Hamza to do so, since the first was, of course, none other than Hamza Sortsus. Later on, a random employee at IERA, that's the Islamic Education and Research Academy, and then, of course, Mohsen Mastan of Digital Dawa, did the exact same. So I decided to flip the demand and tell him that I'm sure that the money stolen from PayPal and abusing the friends and family system will cover his flights to Delhi, where I currently live. He subsequently denied. Among all of this, Hamza very clearly declared victory, though he failed to notify the rest of us as to how he achieved this. First, he demanded a public apology and then repeatedly demanded that I change the title of my video. Note that the title of my video very accurately portrayed his actions in using the mass rape carried out by grooming gangs who were predominantly Muslim, using said atrocity and its victims as a soapbox to stand on to preach his vile religion and beg for money with no thought for the people he was trampling underfoot. And I told him such in the Facebook conversation, suggesting that he in fact correct his behaviour if he did not like his actions being labelled for what they were. His response was to cry out slander, threatening to pursue action with YouTube, to which I responded with, "This came part as an escalation following Hamza's failed attempts to threaten me into submission with the supposedly scary thought of his 50,000 subscribers." But returning to the whole begging thing, when pointing out what I'd shown in my video, Hamza had all sorts of excuses. The first was that he didn't control the account. Okay, well, he very clearly does have some power in that he is the one who is commenting on my video through the EFDawah channel. Secondly, it's still his responsibility to set the parameters for his video. When I first began working on my response, I told Udita, who is the EssenceOfThought content manager, that I felt uneasy as to the fact that in some way I was still gaining from the tragedy. Now, of course, we discussed the fact that I was a rape survivor myself, pulling apart what this fucknut was saying about rape survivors, namely victim blaming. But I also made clear that this video was only going out under the condition that it was not monetized and that all links to monetization platforms were removed. Later, I then figured to put the links to the anti-trafficking groups that could be donated to, but that's kind of a separate thing. The point I'm trying to make is this. I had a conscience in what I was doing that Hamza very clearly lacks, and even if he had taken an issue with it but couldn't do anything, perhaps out of contract or some other reason, he still chose to share it rather than discuss his issues with the lack of ethical conduct by the operators of EFDawah. I mean, I'd be absolutely pissed if I worked at EFDawah and I saw one of the people I'd made a star say that they had no control when they very clearly do, and try to shift the blame onto those in the background. Then again, shifting blame is kind of Hamza's forte. Perhaps most ludicrous was the fact that Hamza threw out the excuse that EFDawah has 300 videos and so they just used the default description. I simply responded with the fact that I had 593 videos at the time, and yet I still managed to see an issue. This is because I'm not running off some dead or ancient text or scripture which forbids rape profiteering. I did it because I'm a humanist who has grown to evaluate situations and how they may impact others to make a moral decision. For that video, which was based almost entirely in the experiences of specific people who were raped and abused by not only Muslims, but teachers of the faith who saw what they did as having absolutely no conflict with Islam, I decided that I should not make a dime off said video. What I said needed to be said, but for the sake of what I said alone. This video and similar ones are simply responses or housekeeping, so I've no such moral issue. But for that video, there was a different precedent in play, and so, unlike Hamza and his religion, I did not fail in doing the right thing. So anyway, that's the news. I look forward to seeing Hamza's response on the matter, as at the time of recording, it hasn't come out. Thank you for watching, take care. Hi there. I just want to say a few things here at the end of the video before you go. First of all, I'd like to thank everyone who's ever donated to the channel via Patreon, giving a special thanks to the following people: Hannah Banghart, Matthew Kovac, John Schoenrock, Alexander Williams, and Daniel Martinez. Your support has ensured this channel its ability to grow over the years, and for that we are truly thankful. I'd also like to ask that you comment down below and like this video, as well as subscribe and follow EssenceOfThought on Facebook and Twitter. Please also consider following Atheist Alliance International on Facebook, an organisation dedicated to helping atheists around the globe. Do note, any comments utilising language which insults others on the basis of perceived gender, sexuality, ethnicity or ability, both mental and physical, will be removed immediately, and the commenter may be blocked on the moderator's discretion. Let's keep this space one which upholds the humanist values. Thank you for watching.